My spiritual journey was it was kind of hard for me at first because me coming out, I was in such a headspace of denial about my sexuality, so I found myself actually praying a lot about it. Like I prayed not to be gay, to be honest with you. My sexuality, I was at a battle of, knowing what my feelings were and not wanting to be a part of that. I did a lot of hate things to myself, feeling like society wanted me to be that man that I should be and have affairs with women and things like that. So I found myself sleeping with a lot of women, but wasn't satisfied because what I really desired was being with the comfort of another man. So it was a lot I had to deal with praying. I was praying a lot about that. I was afraid to tell my family. I was afraid to, let anybody, get a hint that I was loving men or whatever the case like that. So I hid that a long time in my life. So recently, I want to say about 2 years ago, I just came out to my sister and brother. First 2 people in my family that I ever came out with. So it was a struggle for me, a long struggle. And I felt like Ballroom had a lot to do with that because it helped me open up to who I was. Like I was walking this category of realness and I was able to see people who I felt like symbolized who I was as far as the category was concerned. It made me feel a little bit more comfortable about accepting who I am right now. I'm still not there 100%, but I stay in my prayer and try to, live my life the way it should be, the way I feel like it should be.
I think for 18 years, I kind of struggled with that. In a sense of that's a personal self thing. I think the battle that I had was kind of trying to get my mom to understand that the lifestyle isn't what you see on TV. What's portrayed on TV for what we see LGBTQ is the feminine side of this lifestyle. Whether you're in feminine clothes, whether you're doing feminine dances, the struggle of trying to get your parents to understand that this is not who you are, this is not what everybody in this life looks like or feel like. Then you have the spiritual, religious aspect of it. You grow up in a family that's religious and spiritual, and the constant scriptures being thrown at you, the constant, meaning of you. How do you? I think it's more of a personal thing than your faith in God or your higher power, whoever you believe in, and how you establish your walk. It also brings on to how you're able to walk around amongst everybody else. You got to have confidence in who you are. You got to have a confidence in what you believe. You got to have confidence that nobody can take away from what you have. You got to believe in something. For the longest, you'll hear Christians kind of demean us in this lifestyle and who we are, what we do. I think a lot of us can agree that if those who read the Bible, this is a abomination as it would be considered. But then you'll hear people say, well, that was written in old times, Old Testament, so that doesn't mean that's, for today's society. Well, that's not true. This is something, it's like wrestling with flesh and blood. I could say this is a sin all I want. I could say this isn't good. I could say this isn't what's right. But at the end of the day, until I come to the sense of my feelings and how I feel and, you know, the directions being pulled, it's always going to be a struggle. Then on top of that, to be in the ministry, it's like you got to hold your ground. If someone comes to me and talks something spiritual, religious, and then say, well, you're this or you're that, I still have to have a foundation that I stand on for the reason I am doing or being who I am. And that's my take.
This is actually an interesting question for me. I also grew up in the church, ministering, music ministry. I'm not in the pulpit, but trying to live my life, but yet please my family was the biggest struggle. The spiritual part wasn't a struggle because God was with me then and he's still with me now. As he said, living in the eye that the family think you're supposed to, or how the church think you're supposed to act. Singing in the pulpit, singing in the choirs, but still feeling like you're doing something wrong, was a challenge. But I think just staying prayed up, I'm a firm believer. I talk to God like I would talk to you and talk to this camera. He is the one who got me through this. What I'm doing today, I'm supposed to be doing. This journey that I went on, I was supposed to go on. Somebody needs to hear my story. Somebody can attest to the same thing that I went through. Church is a place where it's nothing but sinners. So in the midst of it all, how can you judge me? We all here trying to get that same spiritual food to live this thing we call life. Everybody's struggle is different. Everybody's story is different. The church is what got me, I'm 40 years old. The church is what got me still standing, not the scene. I use the church and the spiritual to help in the scene. People look at me, oh, I didn't expect to get that from you. It's the church in me. My grandmother, I was raised in South Carolina, I'm from Baltimore, raised in South Carolina. When you down south, that's all you do is go to church. They feed you church like it's a daily meal. Prayer meetings, youth Fridays, church, that's breakfast on Saturday, Bible study. If you didn't want to go to church, guess what? You were still going to church. A church was like a chore. So was the spiritual a struggle for me? Hell no. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It helped me. It's still helping me. Me being a father, that spiritual side of me is what connects me to my kids. I'm a human being with a soul. That connects with a lot of people. The spirit connects with a lot of people. So I'm gonna go back and say no. I didn't struggle with the spirit. I think if I'm being honest, the spirit struggled with me because I didn't know what I wanted to would it walk with me or throw it away. But it was so embedded in me. I do believe I'm favored, very chosen. And with that spirit, I just let it lead me. And this is where I'm at 4 years old. So no, I don't feel like nothing that I did was, everything was written. My story was written. The spirit has helped me. So that's my take on the spirit.